It makes my job easy. I was supposed to do the moderation of this panel, but I think the best point will be that I'll ask you guys to help me asking the questions to all our speakers and distinguished experts. Please, Richard.
I thank you very much for the question. So, Your Excellency, actually, this is a topic that has been discussed with many authorities around the world, but one of the challenges in deployment of aid, if we deal with, I think you raised the question in two ways. One is, how do we deal with deployment of aid to the needy? And often that's done through charity systems. And the second part was, how do we improve fundraising? And in a world that is oversaturated with requests to fund, how do you break through and raise money for charity more easily? So I think firstly, certainly I had this discussion recently with the UK government. Overseas aid distribution, unfortunately, is fraught with fraud. And so part of that challenge is about having evidential systems that allow you to understand that the charity that you were sending aid to actually receives and distributes to those that need. And keeping it very straightforward, the mechanisms that you've seen from some of the companies here on the BSV blockchain have that capability today. You can physically and digitally track distribution of charity and aid to those that it's actually designed for. So we may discuss that more. I think on the second side, on fundraising, what you heard some of the companies talk about is that the BSV ecosystem and the protocol is actually designed as a micropayment system, and it has an incentive system built in. So actually, when you do publish a request to a user or to a website or go out through the media, the ability for somebody to scan a QR code or use a wallet, but be incented in a certain way to make that donation to the charity is the other side of the system. And that doesn't exist in the world today. We may get rewards through our leaflets that come through or our publications, but actually there is a mechanism now through tokens to be able to reward those that give to charity. Mohammed, I just wanted to make sure we address the question. I'm sure you're going to do it in many different ways, but we can certainly take that into a deeper conversation.
Absolutely, and thank you indeed for bringing the insights about this. The whole thing is about every technology has to offer something as a core value. Like AI brings the value of productivity and efficiency, and blockchain brings the value of trust and fraud resilience. So every process that has some element of fraud, blockchain is a perfect remedy for that. So it's a technology made for fraud resilience. So yes, in your space of charity, disbursements, collections, of course, this has a strong use case. And there are companies in our ecosystem who are doing these kind of solutions. With that, I will also ask my panelists to give a quick introduction, and plus, if they want to chip in for this answer of this very relevant question. We start from our left side, and Primal.
So hi, everyone. I work for Newton. Newton is a Web3 Force company. I work there as a VP product and client engagement. And basically, we are a PaaS company. I don't say blockchain as a service. We say blockchain as a solution.
Dr. Alia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. And my name is Dr. Alia. I have a PhD in blockchain. I'm a professor at the American University of Sharjah. My project is about healthcare. And I started looking at the vaccine program. It's good to see everybody here healthy and safe, and the pandemic is over. But this is not over because of anything else other than the vaccine. But the vaccines that were delivered in a very speedy time. So we have to look at the aftermath of the vaccine. This is where blockchain raises. I met Mr. Salman when I was looking for a blockchain for my project. Before BSV, I was working for other blockchains. What attracted me is BSV's very low transaction fees. And this reason, I think BSV is suitable for the charity work as well. As he said now, for charity, we cannot ask people who are giving to pay more for the transaction fees. But I think for the charity work, you need a framework. before going into building the system, you have to look at the proof of concept. You have to look at the framework. You have to look at the process. And I think it differs from one project of charity to another. So you have to go into details to design your process. And after that, you start choosing each type of charity work and how you will transfer it onto blockchain. Now we were talking generally, but for this type of work, I think you have to go into the details more, and you have to divide your work, because this is how we do it when we transfer from idea to framework to system. And choose your charity type, choose the locations, that's very important. Choose the way you will communicate with your audience or with your, the people, because the way you're targeting them differs. After you finish all the, we call it the communication and the messaging, then you code them into blockchain. I think choosing BSV is a good choice for this type of work.
Thank you, Dr. Alia. Full marks to your answer, because you have given her a solution why she needs blockchain, and at the same time indirectly promoting BSV blockchain as well. Now move on to, yes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Saeed Al-Hibsi. I am from Ministry of Human Resource and Humanitarian as an advisory in the Undersecretary Assist Office and the project manager in the Undersecretary Office also. We as a government, we are following the UAE strategy for the blockchain and AI, which is launched in 2017 and 2018. I think we will talk more about it in a minute. What is the aims for the government? What is their plan? What is their strategy? We can elaborate more on it.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammed Al-Hamiri. I'm a professor of software engineering, University of Sharjah, and also the head of technology transfer office. This office is mainly responsible to identify the new technologies came out of our research institute and labs in the university, try to protect their intellectual property and commercialize them and convert them into product to the market. We have more than 50 patents in our portfolio last year, and this year we'll double the number of patent application. I'm also researchers in the blockchain industry, where we're trying to find a useful utility for the world and a better improve the life of the human by using and utilizing the immutable properties of the blockchain. We also have some project with BSV association, where we bring a value to our users, students, and also to the community. Maybe we're gonna talk about some of them in the discussion.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Ahmed Yusuf. I work for the government of Saudi Arabia in digital transformation side, and also leading the government initiative for BSV blockchain. What does that exactly mean? It means that to help the government understand the use cases of the blockchain that could help their immediate need from government perspective. So you have to understand the blockchain and the government needs to make this match. So that's what I do in Middle East in general, and specifically in Saudi Arabia.
Great. So I'll be asking only one question to each panelist, and of course then I'll open my questions to you guys, so you can, I'll open the house to you guys for asking the questions. I'll be specific with Premal. He has brought this point that he has 270 team members bringing blockchain solutions. So if he can highlight some of them and how he can think, how he thinks they are fit for the Ras Al Khaimah in general, and also wider Middle East as well. Prima.
Yeah, thank you. So I will just give you a fine example of how blockchain is going to change the whole world. Like blockchain brings to the table 3 T's: trust, traceability, and transparency. And $1.76 trillion is going to add up by just blockchain in another 7 years. And that's a very huge number. India, I will just give you a fine example of India. India is like sitting at $3.25 trillion economy. We just became the first largest economy in the world. Another year, we are going to touch the $5 trillion. And most of this value will come from blockchain. Right now, in another 2 to 3 years, 463 exabytes of data will be getting generated every day. And that's a huge number. Once IPv6 becomes a norm, every device will be having their own IP address. So you can understand. Blockchain is just not about cryptocurrency. The moment people start differentiating cryptocurrency and NFT, blockchain will get its due credit. And as I say, right now, blockchain is all about page 3. And the real push will come once the blockchain becomes to the page 1, the mainstream. And the fraud part, I will just add one more point. $146 million of food grain scam had happened in USA 2 years back. Farmers, they were just, on the name of organic products, they were selling the inorganic products. And 98% of their products were not organic, but there was no way to track it. $146 billion, that's a huge number. That's what is happening, and blockchain is gonna kill all those elements, and government will be the first adopter of the blockchain. That's what I say, because it brings trust. And government is always associated with the trust factor. Ras Al Khaimah, as he was mentioning, I think if I'm not wrong, the GDP is around, per capita GDP is $28,500, and it's around $12 billion. Blockchain market size is $5 billion. India just exports software of $300 billion yearly worth. So you can imagine the scale in another 5 to 7 years, but again, it will take time. But yeah, blockchain is the future for sure. Thank you.
Right. Dr. Alia, we were discussing that you are doing your project of vaccination management system on BSV blockchain. So tell us more about that. What will be the exact utility? And after this COVID, how do you see it will be still valuable, relevant to the whole healthcare part, or life sciences overall?
Thank you for the question. Actually, everybody is thinking that since we took the vaccine, the story ends, but that's not true. After the vaccine, we have to follow up on whatever potential symptoms that might happen, which we call the aftermath. These vaccines were developed by big companies, which we appreciate their work and the resources they have put. But it was developed very fast. Even the WHO admitted that there were testing phases that were canceled because they want to release the vaccine fast. If you go and meet your doctor for any regular visit, and ask him or her, she will tell you or he will tell you that I receive a lot of complaints and I do not know whether these symptoms are normal or associated with vaccines. And in this regard, I want to emphasize that we really appreciate the work that these vaccine companies have done. But we are trying to follow up on whatever symptoms that people might have suffered from, whether they are normal, healthy people or people with special needs, or with chronic diseases, or in certain age or certain group of people, and link those, whatever symptoms that we see, to the supply chain, which we call the cold supply chain of the symptoms, of the vaccines, because we know that vaccines are very sensitive to temperature. We want to know if a symptom occurs, is it random, or is it associated with a certain company, or is it associated with a certain lot of that company's vaccine? Maybe the problem is not in the manufacturing of the vaccine, but the way it was handled in the health system in the country that imported that vaccine. So here we talk about what my colleague here said, traceability, transparency of information, and connectivity. So we are linking a mesh of information that helps the health sector follow up on this, the vaccine aftermath symptoms. This is why we say that this project is valuable first, because it discusses something nobody thought about it. Everyone thinks, I took the vaccine and it's over. Maybe after 5 years something happens, especially that it was administered to children in many countries. So this is something that should be taken into consideration. And the other thing, we have to be fair to the companies who manufactured the vaccine, and also to the governments, to the health sector, and we have to enrich the healthcare system with all the information that they need for future cases. No one can make sure that this is the last pandemic. We hope it is, but no one can guarantee that. And this is why this project is very important in two aspects: to follow up on the vaccines and evaluate them, and come with a feedback that is transparent, and also to help us plan for inshallah, doesn't happen for any future health crisis.
All right. Thank you very much for a very elaborative answer. We move on to Saeed Al-Hibsi. Right. Representing government, and especially now I'll be specific about the Ras Al Khaimah government. Where do you see blockchain helping the next wave of digitization and overall the value for the citizens of the Ras Al Khaimah? What blockchain can bring in?
Yeah, actually, we need to start at the beginning from the UAE itself as a country. So, as a country, they have very clear vision for the blockchain strategic and the AI strategic. Especially, they have 3 pillars they are focusing on: to be international leadership in the blockchain technologies, to create industry in this, especially in the AI and blockchain technology, and the move to the efficiency for the government. Actually, they are aiming to transfer 50% from their application onto blockchain platform. Why we are following that? The UAE itself, they have very clear vision from the beginning since 2000. They start with the e-government, then smart government, and now then we came with something called the fourth industrial revolution. It is a blockchain, AI, and IoT, and big data. So all of the other emirates is following the same strategy what the UAE following, because this is, it's not only in one city work, it is all UAE as a federation work, and all of them falling to best and looking for the best practice for the blockchain technology. From as a beginning, as a member in the Mohri, we start to look for the first step, which is the awareness. Then we will come to partnership with BSV to train our employees in the ministry. We start with, I think, 600 employees. We started to share transfer the knowledge to them. What is the meaning of the blockchain? What is the blockchain can bring to the government, and what is the efficiency or whatever as application in the ministry. Following, it will be follow with the best practice. We will see which project we can follow up, like we are talking now with some projects with the PSVs. So this is the way how the government work and start and looking for. It is not only looking to follow the trend where all over the world to see the blockchain, then we will go to the blockchain. No, it's very clean and a clear strategy from the government itself since the start. I remember when they sent me to study in Oxford University, they said when we came, we don't have clue that what is the next it will be. But then they appointed the first minister of AI. Then they create something called the Blockchain Council. So the government very serious on it, and they put very clear strategic. By the way, Dubai also, they full powered by blockchain by end of the 2022. They announce about it, and they transfer already. It is something they have a project they call paperless government. The other cities is following us. As a Ras Al Khaimah, there's a many opportunity in the government itself. They have many entities of the government. They have Ras Al Khaimah Court, they have Ras Al Khaimah Municipality, they have Ras Al Khaimah Economic Department. All these departments can be get benefit from the blockchain technologies to increase their efficiency and decrease their cost as a local government.
All right, thank you very much. And we move on to Dr. Muhammad. Doctor, of course, I'll ask about the projects which we are doing together as a research and development. Of course, we would have to share the case studies of those projects which have been happening for quite a number of months now. But overall, again, how the academia of Ras Al Khaimah can be having benefits with the blockchain and how they can start their journey adopting the blockchain.
Yes, thank you. Well, any government, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Ras Al Khaimah, they have a lot of government transactions, and they have employees, and they have also their customer and client to serve. So whenever there is a transaction initiated by the client and then received by the government entity, need to process it inside into multiple levels, all these transactions should be traced for either for transparency, for increasing the performance, for decreasing the cost of transaction, and have a better service. So always whenever you have a complaint from customers about any transaction or they are not happy of the service, they always complained either by the unclear fees, they don't know exactly how much the fees scheme, or they don't know the time, or they are not happy with the execution time, or maybe the quality of service. So, and there is no way to see inside where is the transaction or application is, and how to trace, and where it is, including other things could be like delay, insufficiency, corruption, etc. With the blockchain now, we have an open and public ledger. It's also, it's something that you can trust. It is decentralized in most of the public, open and public blockchain, so nobody can manipulate the data. Nobody can insert invalid records and validate it. And we have also some examples of academic certificate we'll talk about. So this will make everybody equal. Everybody know what is there, and he knows exactly what he's supposed to do. So with this one, as we see Mr. Saeed talking about some case studies in UAE or in Dubai, or paperless government, that will not only save the time, to also time for the client, the time also for the government employees that work, even the time on road. Like the recent study Dubai government made, they can, with the paperless concept or government paperless concept, and also using the blockchain for the government transaction, they will cut 500 million hours in 10 years of working time. That's all time spent on roads, whereas car is making traffic jam. There will be there will be accidents, there will be loss of lives, there will be also delay, even for children waiting their parents to drop in and drop out because they are in the traffic jam running from place to place to maybe apply for an application or to follow up or even to go to their work. So all of these and many other case studies that can be done using the blockchain beautiful utilities. Now we'll go back to the case studies briefly about that we done. The first one, we are developing a framework to issue the academic certificate and also the letter of experience. As you know, there is global issues about the certificate validations, and it is really consuming a lot of time and also very costly transaction. In US, for example, there is, in US only, there are more than 2 million fake academic certificates in circulation every year. There are more than 300 scam institute, non-existing, issuing certificate every year in US, and more than 250 in UK. None of them are existing in UK or in US, but they are providing millions of fake academic certificates to the people. They go and apply for a job. They take advantage and opportunities of other people, and they don't deserve that. On the other side, the government or any employee, they have to verify the certificate by a long and lengthy process. In average, it is 6 stages where you have to send the verification request to the Ministry of Education from the issuing country. They have to go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They have to stamp it in the Ministry of the Consulate or the embassy. They have to come back here in UAE to be also attested in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Higher Education. Then there is also a committee to verify this certificate, even though in the final state they will find, and we know, we will find many of fake certificates. So even the system now for issuing and verification academic certificate is insufficient, and it takes a lot of time. Now we're developing a platform to issue where it is universal. Any university can use it to issue their student certificate. Once it's issued and being in a public record in the network, it is validated. No need to do further validation because it's already verified and validated. So everyone with this issued certificate can go with confidence to apply for any job, and any employee receiving this, they can verify from the public ledger on the network and see this certificate has all details and it is a valid one. So for that purpose also we chose to collaborate with BSV because they have a public blockchain It has one of the highest number of transactions per second, and it's also with a very low cost. It's incomparable with any other blockchain transaction. Also, for the case or for the use of our issuing a certificate that include, a lot of information and also scanned copy of the certificate, we require a large block size. And we found also the BSV blockchain has the largest block size. They reached 4 gigabyte, and now they have also increased to the 8 gigabyte. This is the first project. It is almost in the final stage. We will launch a startup now within Immersive Sharjah to provide a service to the whole community. The other project is about preserving the culture of UAE. As you know, UAE is very cultural and wealthy country, and because of the globalization and modelizations and new generation, they don't really know much about their culture and their heritage. Now we are using the blockchain to preserve this heritage for the today's generation and also the next generation. And so for this purpose, we are using the BSV blockchain, again for the same reason. It is highest transaction rate with the lowest transaction fees, and also they have a large block size. So we will capture all these cultural assets, either it is physical assets or moral assets, and also videos, clips of, for example, one of the memorial moment of UAE and our great and late leaderships, and try to preserve them into the blockchain as NFT, non-fungible tokens, so it can remain for years and hundreds and thousands of years for our grandsons as well. On the other side, it will enable people to monetize these cultural and heritage assets. So if they have very valuable asset they inherited from their ancestors, they can also make a digital copy of these assets, and they can post it in the marketplace to be traded as NFT, and they can receive monetization, not only for them, even for their sons and the grandsons in the future, because using the smart contract features within the blockchain, you can even keep royalty or percentage of royalty whenever this asset's being transacted and traded on the platform, and many more cases.
Right, thank you very much. And I move to Ahmed Adam Yusuf. As I mentioned in his introduction, he's representing government of Makkah, has implemented already the blockchain. Also, he is with us in BSV blockchain as a government initiatives lead. So he's a perfect person to share experience and insights about how valuable blockchain could be for the government entities, especially here in Ras Al Khaimah. Ahmed.
Thank you very much for having me, and this is an opportunity to see the value. Richard mentioned we are moving into the blockchain or the internet of value. This is when you're using government data, when you're sharing government data, there's a lot of challenges, and my colleagues here has mentioned a few. That government by nature, they turn to operate as islands. Each government have their own data, and they share when it's requested. And also, they want it to be trusted. They want it to be transparent only when they are asked to do that. They want it to interact with with partners in the private sector as well, sharing just a few amount of data. So this has created questions in our digital transformation journey, in how and when and how we can share this data in the local government of Saudi Arabia and Mecca in particular, when you have at least 13 different entities within the government that they want to share data about who's coming and who's leaving and what kind of technology that each government entity has about their pilgrimage or traveler coming from overseas to Saudi Arabia in short amount of time, that you want to make sure the data is accurate, the data is used properly, and is fast. So we searched for solutions left and right. We couldn't find anything but the blockchain. We're all talking about blockchain. And so we started to experiment with the blockchain with Muhammad and Jimmy and others in the BSV blockchain and see how this technology could solve the challenges that we have when it comes to data sharing and data transparency and data quality. For hospitality, issuing permit. This is private sector utilizing a service for the government. The government want to see what's inside their data center. So relying on what we know from digital transformation and IT services, a DBA that you can call after hours and say, manipulate this line and change these records. This is not the case anymore with the blockchain. Having accurate information and data helped us actually when we delivered this project. We were able to reduce all the bureaucracy around committees and around government entities from 1 month to issue a permit for a government entity into 20 minutes. And even the 20 minutes, it could be up into a shorter time because of all of the transparency is there. All of the parties that sharing about or caring about their data, they are part of this closed and permissioned circle of blockchain. But now we're talking about open blockchain where the data is available for everybody, just like the internet today. The internet in the past, we call it internet, that each government or entity, they have their own loop of data and internet within their entity. But as soon as we open the internet and the internet were able to share the massive amount of data and being open to everyone, it's changed our life. And now there's services for government, we use multiple layers of the internet and sharing all this amount of data. So my anticipation that very soon, now we're talking about metaverse, Web3, and all this journey of blockchain, very soon we're gonna move into the blockchain that's open for everybody and all people can share and they can utilize that benefit. You studied at the University of Georgetown, for example, and you want to come and teach at the University of Sharjah, that all you can provide just ID, and that ID will have your resume, your transcript records, and your certificates, and your health record as well, that you don't have to carry all this kind of information, and each university require different type of information. Even employers, why do you have to provide a different CV applications and different kind of data for each employer? So having one universal ID in the system that will help government, will help private sector. So to transfer this into application for government, my advice is just the government should look into what challenges and solutions they have in here in Ras Al Khaimah, for example, what governments services they provide, what the challenges, especially when they're trying to share data between different entities and different government. So that will take them to the next level of implementing the blockchain within their network. And hopefully that will be happen soon, not only here, but everywhere else.
All right, thank you very much. We have time for 2 questions and then we'll have a very quick award ceremony for a few of our very visionary blockchain leaders. I think we have one question from Naeem. He's from UK and a very he has a very good, rich experience in the blockchain space. So one question from him, and I'm seeing the another hand. Okay, one from left, one from right, and then we can move our discussion during the dinner break. I'll see if there will be a time for the third one. So I think it's Becca, right? Yes. Yeah, it's light, I cannot see, but I can. All right, thank you. Yes, Naeem.
Thank you for the esteemed panel. I'm really grateful for your time, especially the time you're taking out from your busy schedule. Dr. Alia and Dr. Muhammad, I have 2 questions, but I want Dr. Alia to answer that first. I think you've touched something really important earlier. You've touched about the vaccination and perhaps the different effects of that. Now, in the UK or in every single country, we have those vaccination certificates. We know where the vaccinations are coming from. Is your research, and first of all, congratulations on your PhD, because you are now literally 5% of the people in the whole world who have PhD in that, or just a PhD. So are you doing something in your literature that, if God forbid, if there is any sort of a side effect, how can we really control that? So we have all the certificates, we know where the vaccinations are coming from, we know who got what vaccination. If there is something, then what are the procedures or what are the solutions could be taken? Dr. Mohammed, you spoke about the culture. Now, given the fact that Sharjah University is making pretty big waves in terms of the technology, in terms of the research that you guys are doing, I wonder if you are taking any initiatives to put ahadith, and for those of you who don't know ahadith, these are the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you are doing any initiatives of putting them on a blockchain and having a research on them, so that we can perhaps eradicate all the conflicts which exist between the different sectors of Islam. Thank you.
Excellent question.
Thank you for the question. Now, here when we talk about potential symptoms, we have to be careful. We are collecting a lot of data and we have to be transparent about it. Because what is in my framework is sometimes these vaccines are manufactured in a good way, as I said, and the companies have done a good job, but there is a problem in the cold supply chain, or maybe in one lot within that vaccine. We have to be very careful when we are collecting this information. Also, it might not affect ordinary people. Maybe it affects only diabetes, or maybe it affects only children, or maybe it affects people who take another medicine, which is X. So when we collect this massive amount of data, we need to share them on a platform for physicians and authorities, both of them, to look at these informations and try to learn from it. So basically, the outcome of this project could be used in machine learning, which is something I'm also specialized in. It is not in this phase, also, but artificial intelligence and machine learning come up with the conclusion, the one that you are looking for, the single sentence that says, this is what happened. But first, we need transparency in collecting a huge number of data. And this is one of the reasons that I needed BSV. I was working on another blockchain. Can I mention the name?
Yeah, open, yes.
I'm an Ethereum. Usually I'm on Ethereum. My PhD was in Ethereum, and I did a lot of projects on that. When I came to look at a project about the best interest of the community, I need something that is not expensive. I do not need to worry about the transaction fees. And I need a platform that is for good. I joined this vision with Jimmy. So basically, I need to transfer a huge number of data securely and trustfully. At this stage, the project is about collecting data, sharing them, linking them with an aim of going into machine learning for a conclusion. I hope I answered your question.
Great. And we love that you mentioned that you are also transforming from Ethereum to BSV. That's even more powerful for us.
See, let's put it in a better way. I'm including BSV in my portfolio.
Great.
But all blockchains are used for certain cases. I can see that BSV is offering a huge opportunity for many use cases.
Thank you for adopting this. Dr. Mohammed, a quick answer to the Hadith question.
Yes,
very relevant, by the way, for today's context.
Yeah, first of all, before I answer that, we have to realize that blockchain is not the magic key. It's not the solution for everything. It's a tool, a mechanism that has some utility and has some application to solve some challenges. So it cannot solve the whole world problems. This is one thing we have to agree with. The second thing is that the technology is not a powerful tool. The power is in the data. The data give you knowledge, and knowledge give you power. So the first thing, if you want to know if there is any misconduct, if there is any invalidated data or action or process or ethical action, you have to know and be sure there is some data that reliable that you can start with. So again, if there is anything like related to the health issues or related to the academic certificate issue, etc., you need to know, is it reliable and trusted, and then you can start to your process or to verify, authenticate whatsoever this product is, or the process, or the side effect of a certain medication, etc. With the lack of data will handicap you, and you cannot do anything. The second thing regarding the Islamic culture, and especially the Hadith and Quran and Sunnah, we believe in our religion that the Quran and Sunnah is preserved by the power and mercy of Allah. So no matter which technology you are using or application or putting on a database on the internet will make it even protected or not. But if we found there is a useful utility in case maybe to make a better retrieving of data, making cross-literature review, etc., then of course that will be a good case study to employ any kind of technology. For this platform we are developing is for the Islamic and Arabic culture. It will be the framework and the platform that enable anybody to build applications. So we'll not build application for the community. We'll provide the foundation and the platform, and the community can bring in any application they want. That could include putting like the Sunnah, Hadith books as well into the blockchain for preserving it, or also for provide access to the other people.
Right.
We also have the metaverse aspect where we'll after collecting and digitalizing all these cultural assets, could be artworks, painting, valuable statues, etc. They will be presented in the metaverse, in the virtual reality for people, so will provide a better utility and easy access to these kind of things. People and kids that can see it everywhere without having to go to the museum or sitting with their grandparents, if they're still alive, to tell them stories about the past and about their history.
Right, so we have to respect the time aspect, but also our distinguished guests as well. I can take maximum now 2 questions. Of course, we already have one from Pekka. We will allow you, but very brief, because there are I think more than half people have to go back to Dubai, so we have to respect that part. Thank you.
No, it's a very short question only for Dr. Alia. Dr. Alia, do you have the protocol for the post-vaccine symptoms so that we could give it to all the other physicians? Because I'm a physician, I'm an ophthalmologist, so I'd like to have, if you have the protocol for research, I'm interested to go into it.
You mean the framework of collecting
yes,
the data
yes,
from?
Yes,
I have built that,
yeah.
but I'm not sure about sharing. We can discuss this if,
Okay.
with our partners.
Pseudonymous
No,
information.
it's not yet out in the, as we say, in the air. The framework is ready, but the coding and, of course, we have to.
It's going to be the UAE's project already.
So
It's taking the UAE as an example, but it is applicable everywhere in the world.
That's
and we
right.
have, of course, the consultations of physicians on how to build certain, parts of the framework, because I'm an engineer. So basically, my PhD in an engineering factor, but I'm intruding into the healthcare system. So
Great.
of course we have the input from physicians, but we can of course share that part if you are interested.
She's a true doctorate, has a true doctorate in blockchain, because she's revealing pseudonymous information. So there is a transparent information, there's anonymous and pseudonymous selective information she's passing on, and that's what she did. Pekka, last question from you, and yes.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much, Rasak Heyman, government and BSV for arranging this great event. Internet went to mainstream only when it was regulated. And now if you think about the centralized networks that we are going towards and the transactions, Dr. Mohammed mentions about the transactions many times on his great answers, but now we know that This decentralized mechanism is that there are validators that are rewarded, that they validate those transactions. And the rewards are digital tokens. How this will fit into the existing strategy, and what's the status today? Thank you.
Should I send? Okay. Well, this is the proof of work concept in the blockchain. And we know there are a lot of talk about the impact on the energy sufficiency and using the power. It requires a lot of power to run the back end mining facilities, etc., to run the network. But if you compare between, for example, Ethereum and Bitcoin network and the BSV network, the difference it's huge. Now, for example, the cost for 1 kilobyte transaction on a BSV is $0.0005 of dollar, which is make it very sufficient to run even if it is with a proof of work. I'm not aware if they have plans to convert into different protocol rather than BOW, but we see like other network like Ethereum, they are moving to the proof of stake to solve this issue. But I think the way it's currently, it's very competitive to the other open blockchains. But I think with their data center and R&D institute in chain will come up with something like better solution to improve the quality and also efficiency of running the blockchain, the transactions in the blockchain.
Thank you very much, my distinguished panelists.